Hello, good morning to you. It's been a while since I made a video. Some of you have asked me why I haven't made one. Well, I know I'm a handsome man, and some people like seeing my handsome face. But I just want you to know I don't just make a video for the sake of making a video. I make a video when I believe and I feel that I have a good message to relate and something that somebody can learn. So today, this message is particularly for us who are parents today, and also for the young parents of now and people who are thinking of becoming parents, so that we can lay the groundwork for the future generations yet unborn or the generations that are still very young right now. You see, there's one thing in Africa that most people don't even take notice of. In Africa, we have a system of indirect taxation. And this system of indirect taxation is what is killing the African people. It's what is killing us, wherever we are in the world. It doesn't matter whether we're in Europe, it doesn't matter whether, we're in America or in Asia. This system of indirect taxation is what is killing us. You see, when we were growing up in Africa, we were not taught to build economic basis. We were not taught, to build wealth, sustainably. We were taught to survive. There's a difference between surviving and building wealth. There is a difference between, just growing and thinking of, only today, than growing and having a mindset of, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 20, 50, 70 years in the future. You see, the difference between the West is they've structured the society in such a way where, they can take care of the old so that the current generation don't have to have the extra burden of taking care of the old. They can focus on themselves and being the best of who they are. What am I saying? What I'm saying is in Africa, we have the system of indirect taxation where, men will just wake up, have a couple of children with a couple of women around, and they don't even take care of them. And they don't teach these children how to become, stable or financially sustainable. Do I blame them? I blame them, yes, for having, too many children than they would have time to dedicate to take care of them properly. But I don't also blame them because the previous generation didn't teach them on how to build wealth. You see, when I hear innovative companies like Fortune Investment saying, let's look at building sustainable wealth. Wealth not just for today, but wealth that can last us a lifetime, and also give our children the added advantage of not having to start from zero or minus, but having to start at a plus so that their lives can be much more better than our lives. Initiatives like this make me happy. The initiatives like this inspire me because these are forward-thinking companies that are saying that, rather than us just thinking of only survival, let's think of start building wealth. Accumulating wealth is a good thing. Wealth is a good thing to have. You see, in any society, for that society to grow and become prosperous and much more, acceptable of people of different backgrounds and races, that society needs to have a solid economic base. Without a solid economic base, as a people, as a person, you get given or you take what is given to you without questions. If you ask questions, people will be like, you go and feed yourself. Now it aches me a lot in my heart when I turn around and I see this current generation behaving like the previous generation in Africa. What I mean by that is, this current generation is only thinking of today. They're not thinking of tomorrow. They're not thinking of, the sustainability, that will enable their children and their children's children to actually become financially prosperous. Sometimes people have a negative connotation between money and evil. Money is good. Wealth is good. Financial abundance is good. You know why? Because there is so much that you can do with that. You see, some parents in Africa, they grow knowing that their ticket in retirement, their ticket to survival in retirement is their children. They don't even think about, investing for today. I know they invest in their children, but they don't think about investing for today to take care of themselves when they're old and no longer able to work. I was having a conversation with somebody a couple of days back. And in that conversation, I told them when I was in my 15, in my teens, I didn't think I would get into my, 20s. I got into 20s, soon 20s were over. And then now I'm in my 30s, I'm getting to my 40s, and I'm thinking, what is going on? Life is happening and life doesn't wait for us. But the one thing that concerns me is, will I be able to give my son, my children, will I give them a solid economic base so that they don't have to start from zero? They don't have to start from nothing. Can I give them a solid economic base so they can build and develop and grow from what I've given unto them? If our fathers had given us a solid economic base to stand on, Africa will not be where it is. But in Africa now, children have become the retirement pensions, of most parents. And you see a man or a woman, all they're going through life is, not even thinking about how they're going to survive or take care of themselves when they are old. I know it's not easy to build wealth. I know it's not easy, to think so far into the future, because when you're young, you don't think that you can ever get old. But as time goes on, you realize that time doesn't wait for anyone. All of us age. So what I'm saying is this. If Africa can just learn to start building sustainable wealth and start thinking of having this mindset of investments, not just for today, but investments for 20, 30, 40, 50 years in future, we can have a better, more prosperous Africa. And if parents can just learn to start teaching their children, I know you don't know, but ask people who know. You can ask people who know how to build sustainable wealth to teach you. And this is why companies like Fortune Investment Network are there to say, you know what, let's build it today so that when you're no longer able to work, these investments that you've made today can take care of you. And the Bible even says that, a good father leaves an inheritance for his children and even for his children's children. Why would the Bible say that? Because if you don't leave anything for your children to start on, they start at a disadvantaged position in life. You see, all this problem of racism and discrimination in life is because people, they don't have an economic base. You cannot discriminate or be racially profiling somebody who's got a solid economic base. Think of somebody like Dangote. Wherever he goes, you cannot discriminate against him. Why? Because the class in which he interacts in doesn't even give you the nerve to come close to be, racially discriminatory about him. And even if you, say racial slurs at him, it doesn't mean a thing to him. Why? Because he's economically solid. If we as Africans can begin to build economic basis for ourselves and for our children's children, we can have a more prosperous, more illustrious Africa than our parents gave us. You see, my fight over the years has been, how can we as a people have a better economic base? There's a passage in the Bible, it always gets me. It says that the children of Issachar understood the times in which they lived in, and all the other tribes of Israel came to them seeking wisdom. If you understand the times in which you're in, you will know that what I'm saying is true. We need a solid economic base today. We need to build the industry. We need to build capacity. We need to build marketplaces. Because if you have a solid economic base, you can walk on the corridors of power and you can bargain and negotiate policies for your people that will help alleviate them or take them to the better level. We can stop all of these vices that are currently going on. If you have a solid economic base and a good moral standing, we can literally help the world to become a better place for all of us. Now, I know you would be saying, but it's difficult. Oh, the environment is not enabling. If the environment is not enabling, what is your mind telling you to do? You may be saying, but I don't have the money to. Nobody has the money to. You start by finding what you want to do first. How you want to build this wealth sustainably. And there are many companies out there that can definitely help you to do so. In Cameroon, for instance, we have Fortune Investment Network. A network that says you can start investing for yourself for tomorrow, today. A network that says that regardless of what you see, COVID-19 and the rampages in the economy, yes, it is bad. It is also possible to build today so that when your feet are no longer able to hold you, when you can no longer rely on your strength, something is going to be there to take care of you. And network with innovative products like the self-invested personal pensions, something that you can chip aside a bit of money here and there today, so that in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years in future, you can have something, a financial base to take care of yourself, and that can also act as an inheritance for your children and your children's children. Why don't we think like that? The concept of investment in Africa gets me really, really, angry, because you see somebody coming to invest and they just think that you invest today and tomorrow you go home with 100% profit. It doesn't work like that. And this is why there are so many charlatans that come and take your money and you lose your money and you start complaining because you don't understand the concept of investment. The concept of investment says, I want something that can take care of me today while it compounds and builds over time, so that I can have much more in future rather than today. This is the concept of investment that I believe we in Africa, we need to start teaching our people. We need to start, inculcating these, principles and ways of life into our people, so that when our parents get old, they can take care of themselves through the investments that they make. But maybe the previous generations haven't been able to do so. Now is the time for us, this current generation, to say enough. Let's give our children a better opportunity to succeed in life by investing today for tomorrow. If you don't know where to invest, there are genuine companies out there like the Fortune Investment Network. You can talk to the people that work in these companies and they can explain to you what and how they can help you, or what they can help you with. Talk to them. But sometimes we are so limited by our own self-righteousness and this stupid ego and pride that you don't want to go and ask for help, so that they don't see you as a beggar. Trust me, if you don't ask for help when you need help, you are the fool at the end of the day. I'm not here to insult you, but I'm just here to challenge you and say, as parents for today, we have to do something so that the next generation doesn't have to suffer the same prejudices that we suffered. I've been to some of the most racist countries in the world, but I never experienced an iota of racism. Why? Because I believe when you set yourself up and you see yourself in a different light, the whole world and people subconsciously, they see you in a different light. Of course, somebody has shot me with an egg, but that wasn't my problem. That was their problem. What I'm saying is this. Having a solid economic base is the genesis for the black man truly being free and becoming prosperous. If you cannot take care of yourself today, and you definitely cannot take care of yourself tomorrow, if you become a burden for your children in future, that instead of them struggling to find out for themselves and maybe struggling, to prosper and grow, all the psychological, emotional, physical, financial stress that you have, you pass it on them. And sometimes, as parents, aunties, uncles, you don't really understand what these children are going through in their own homes. But you expect them to take care of their homes and their families as young as they may be, and also take care of you. This indirect taxation is what is killing Africa. Yes, African politicians are corrupt and rotten to the core, but I believe that if we can at least handle the system of indirect taxation by us, the individuals, building self-sustainable economic and ecosystems for ourselves individually, we can have a better, more prosperous country, more prosperous nations, and a more prosperous continent. There is good in having wealth, for the good you can do for today, but not just for today. Imagine the greater good you can do for posterity, the ripple effect over time, over centuries of maybe you building a university, making it tuition free and just educating people on how they can build wealth for today. Imagine in a century to come what that impact could be. It's immeasurable. It's a good thing to have money. Africans sometimes are afraid to have money, and the only thing that before you have money, you must be a cultist, a ritualist. No, there are ways to build wealth for today, have money for today, do the good for today, and also invest for posterity, invest for generations to come, so that they don't have to suffer the same way you suffered. What I'm saying is, as parents for today, we have to prepare not to tax our children when we get old indirectly, but we have to prepare to leave them an inheritance so that their lives can become better, so that they can become more prosperous than we have been. The goal of every generation is to become better than the previous generation. And I hope that this short 15-16 minutes will help you to actually start thinking of how to build wealth. If you don't know where to go, you can talk to people from Fortune Investment Network. They can help you. And I pray as they do, may God Almighty Himself help you and bless you. God bless you, and goodbye for now.